Oh, I'm seeing more and more outlets starting to ask the question, isn't this peculiar that the entrenched governments that are now being whittled away at by a younger voting base of suddenly men that want something more small government, nationalist, populist in nature, or not even small government in some of the Europeans' cases, just something more populist in its nature and nationalist in its nature, in movements toward national and ethnic sovereignties. Well, so I'm finding it fascinating that suddenly now all of the older people in government realize we're going to have to draft these young men. And everybody's talking about conscription now. So what's fascinating is when you talk to somebody that they're still like taking in the blue punch, that when they're drinking the blue punch and great drafts of it, somehow Ukraine, all this information about Ukraine, like their desperate need for artillery shells, the fact that they have not taken anything back, that there's this huge section that they no longer have, like it's gone. It's like it's not their country anymore, and that there's this. So what's fascinating is now this sort of these people who they think that this is like a real, like the big fight for democracy or something. They're somehow talking themselves into this. And it's going to be fascinating when they find out that they will have almost the vast majority of their societies voting against anything that actually then pulls soldiers into it or pulls conscripts into it in any way, shape, or form. And that's already happening. That's why this right-wing vote has happened in Europe. And so I'm really thinking, I mean, it's fascinating now too to see at the kind of the great triumph of all things green, lefty, and liberal. There's no safety in the streets across every place that they control. They have no control. Nobody has any, there's no law and order. You can't control who comes in and out of the country. We're catching terrorists coming in and out all the time. The narcotics have triumphed over normalcy. So there's people out all over the place all the time, high on all kinds of stuff, going crazy everywhere, shitting up the streets, homeless everywhere. Every number about the economy recovering is fake. All the entertainment is weird entertainment that is supposed to be kind of loyalist productions for the party and what the party line wants. I mean, this is an amazing time to see, like, because people don't remember when stuff like this happened during the 60s and the 70s. And that the boomers really didn't tell a lot of people, like of my generation, like how crazy the 70s really got. And so I just had to think about that at one point. That I'm like, no, this is the whole thing. This is being documented now. The internet's going to remember it all forever. This isn't going to be like the 70s where people didn't remember all the bombings of police stations. They didn't remember how, like, lefties who end up showing up in photos with Barack Obama were, like, threatening people with all kinds of fucking terrorism. And so I'm actually kind of glad to see it, because the other part about it is now there's also the part of with the right and elements of the cultural right facing oh, like Alex Jones isn't crazy. Like, oh, my son's interest in Alex Jones isn't a bad thing. He was totally right about that thing that was going to happen. So now with this, they're going to make it easier to conscript men across the Eurosphere. It's just one of these things, like, how much more do you really need? Like, how much more evidence do you need? So this is going to be pretty fun to see the reaction. Especially, I'm kind of curious to see on the left of center what the reaction to such like will be, if anything at all. Later.